the new crusaders with no agenda, no agenda.
Hey, I'm Steve, and this is JAGcast, episode 143, the podcast of the Jenkintown Arts Garage, where we explore the intersection of the arts and technology. And in case it's not obvious, Miss Chrissy is unavailable this week, so I am joined by special co-host / returning guest of the pod, Jason Ager.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's good to be back on.
Yes, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
I ran into you. Well, I didn't run into you. I went to the Broken Goblet Friday night, saw your show with the Golden Eagles. And then I was
we
like,
had a lot of fun.
And I was like, hey, you want to do the pod?
I was glad to jump in, man. It's a fantastic honor and just a good chance to reconnect, man. It's always fun.
Yeah, so we're doing this after a long Mother's Day. So
absolutely, yeah, man.
I'm really thankful you're coming on here. But the initial impetus for this was like, because it's Mother's Day, Chrissy was going out with the girls to do stuff, and she's been so busy with her new studio or yoga studio, and recital time is coming up, and she's like, "What are you gonna do for the pod? You're gonna have to do something yourself." And he was like, "Oh, why don't you see if Jason wants to come back on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've been meaning to invite you back on because we had a great conversation at the."
Give her the night off, man. Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the show notes to your last episode. That was a really good one.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was fun.
So you can check it out.
Actually, funny enough, the last time I came on, we talked about you guys actually did the world premiere of that song "Pity," and we just released it this past Friday.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of come full circle, man. It's perfect time to come back on.
It is. So yeah, I saw you at the Broken Goblet. And on a miserable day of just
it wasn't a fun day in terms of weather and everything. Just not a great one.
But I went there. It's like every time I go there, I end up shooting your show too because I was out of practice.
Love you for it, man. It's awesome. You've gotten me some awesome photographs over the years, man. I appreciate you very much for that. It's awesome.
Oh well, it's fun, and I got some good shots this time. I'm editing them right now.
That's cool.
Man, I'm so out of practice though. I was so tired at the end of the night because we had a long day. We were driving to Maryland and back that day, and then I came over. Like we got back at like 5 or close to or after 4, between 4 and 5, and then your show was I guess started around 8 or something. I got there like 7:30, so it's not a lot of time.
No.
I was driving to Broken Goblet, but it was good. I like your full band, Golden Eagles.
They're a lot of fun. Those guys. It's a joy to play with them. We don't always have the luxury of having them because stages are so varying in size and everything, and the production behind it. So just to be completely honest, there's not always the finances there to bring everybody out.
Yeah.
So it's nice to play a place that respects the craft and really goes in for the full band production and and it's a big enough place that we can hopefully promote it enough to get people out and everything like that. So it becomes such like a staple now, or like a venue in the city. It's like it's a thing. So
have you been following? I know we're trying to we already started talking about Broken Goblet. We just started. It's like take a drink, everybody. If you're playing the drinking game at home. Have you been following their social media at all, like lately? Because they really upped their game. They hired somebody.
They got a new social media manager. Since Mike Locke stepped back a little bit from being the kind of main mouthpiece of the brewery. Because Bub's always back doing a lot of the brewing, and Jay does all the the music stuff. And they got this new guy doing the social media side of things, and I agree with you 100%. I think their social media game is definitely is clicking. They're cooking, and that's cool to see. And I'm glad to be a part of the machinery a little bit once in a while.
But what I've noticed is they are seemingly selling out that space in the middle of the week. Like I don't know who these bands are, but they have following, And I mean, the fact that I don't know who a band is means nothing because
Right.
I'm ignorant of most bands. But like, there are these bands coming through that I have never heard of that have these big followings, and they're on a variety of types of music. And
Yeah.
I'm seeing the social media posts, and they're just the whole venue is like packed with
Yeah.
ticketed shows, sold out. It's wild.
It's really wild. I'm hoping to someday be at that level.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is really cool to see them kind of becoming like a venue. And it was nice to hear Jay tell me the other night that they really have all intentions though of like remaining a local venue in terms of having local artists play the space as much as they can. While also entertaining these bigger touring acts that are coming through. But it was refreshing to hear Jay kind of reconfirm that the approach to the local scene that they've always had. I've been playing there, Steve, probably 10 years now.
Oh, wow.
Starting back playing at the original location up in Croydon,
Right.
and that was, like I said, probably about 10 years ago. We did our vinyl release party there at the original location, and that was 2017.
Wow.
And I've been playing the main stage now at the big joint, in Ben Salem there for
Yeah, I
ever
don't even
since.
know how you fit in the original spot.
It was tight. Usually I was there acoustic,
Yeah, right.
And at the vinyl release party we did that one time was just the trio. So
Okay.
it fit. It was tight, but it fit. But yeah, again, it was I've been playing there for so long, so it's nice to hear that that small fries like myself can still have a space on that stage. That's unfortunately I feel like that's fewer and far between these days. With small venues like the Grape Street, closing down, and the living room out and on the main line closing down. Like, these
Oh, it
small
did?
venues are kind of
Wow.
having a hard time staying open. So it's nice to hear that even though they have a larger size, they still have this commitment to seeing these rooms as local spaces as well as spaces for national touring acts. And hopefully there'll be like the opportunity for local artists to open for these bigger acts, which again it's one of those synergistic things. You get a chance to open for somebody, you kind of become part of their world, and you kind of pick up some of their fans, and people
Yeah.
start following you from that, and it just builds. It's very, very you know uh cross pollinating kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, I think Brun Goblet is. I mean, we talk about it a lot on this podcast because it's great, and we're we become friends with the some of the
Yeah.
owners and all that. But I've been watching them for a long time as they've evolved, and I think they have really, found like a business model that looks like it's going to work well for the space that they
Yeah.
have now, where
Yeah,
they have
absolutely.
the main music venue room. They have a brewery, obviously, which makes really good beer that they're now distributing, at
Hmm.
least somewhat. And then they have the mixing room, which is the smaller venue, which is more
Yep.
like the old venue, and it's actually bigger, I believe. But it's like more of that vein. It has a little stage. It's acoustic acts only, but it has
Yeah.
a really nice bar with mixed drinks now, which are great. Their
Yeah.
mixologist Anders is.
I've not had a chance to
Oh,
check out
you you have to
the
go get a
drinks, but
drink. You have to
I
you got
will.
Anders make you a cocktail. They're amazing.
Yeah. Are
They're
they?
so good.
I remember them talking originally that they were gonna start doing some of the distilling themselves. Is that
Yeah.
still happening?
It's going to happen. It's not quite working out. I don't know what the delays are, these things, but
It's
they have the
by getting
equipment.
approvals and stuff, that
Probably
kind of thing.
that probably took forever too.
Yeah.
But I mean, Broken Goblet is a unique place because they managed to get this large venue, and then like the history of it is very kind of complicated. How they ended up being in in such a large part of
Yeah.
this location, but it works out for them. But like for other venues, I mean, and before this, I mean, I don't know how hard of time they were having, but I think everybody is having a hard time venue wise. And
It's
I'm
just
like,
part of the
and
game.
it's like, what business models will even work nowadays for music venues? I've been thinking about it a lot. It's hard around here in Jenkintown.
Yeah.
We have some music acts. I mean, but again, it's like a lot of it is tied to the brewery, the Human Robot
Right.
Brewery here in
Right. Right.
Jenkintown is great. They have a regular jazz Saturday brunch, and there's usually it's a lot of times it's people I know, but they have some great jazz artists coming through there, And then they have, I think they still have an open mic they were doing there, and there's some other like open mics around here.
Hmm.
The location is very important. I think it's tough
Yeah, that's
to
true.
yeah, like it seems like I don't know, but maybe we're moving beyond the time where a lot of people want to go to a specifically like a music bar. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know,
not
you
sure.
know. It feels like it. It feels like something's changing. Like people are willing to go to a brewery. They're willing to go to to yeah, I mean, yeah, they're willing to go to like there, but there's how many music venues are just music venues now that
Not, I mean, the
that
ones
are
that I play,
successful in Philly?
well, yeah, the ones that I play are few and far between. I mean, even like some of the newer venues in the city, like
Yeah,
Brooklyn, like the Brooklyn Bowl, it's in Philly now.
yeah,
Still partly bowling alley, right? There you can still
yeah,
roll,
right. And
but,
there's
you
that
know.
isn't that the place by the where they revamped the train station in Philly?
Oh, you mean Union Transfer?
Is that what it is? No, I mean, well, that's one, but I think, but I mean, didn't they? Isn't there like a winery or wine place or something it's connected to
Oh, yeah,
the
it's City
mall?
Winery.
City Winery, that's right. They have some
Yeah.
acts there, I think, too.
Well, there, see how like that's like just like Brooklyn Bowl, right? That as well as City Winery are actually like chains. They're actually
Oh,
like
okay.
venue chains because there's like a City Winery in Nashville, DC,
Yeah.
New York, Boston. Like, there's a whole like a lot of artists will actually go and play each one of these
Yeah,
different
just
city wineries.
it seems like
Um,
there's just like who's left around our area that's just that place you might go to and you might discover somebody,
yeah,
you
there's a
know, at
few like for example the Royal. The Royal is a great place for
the
that.
Royal.
That's in Glenside there,
Yeah,
and
it's funny that these are like in suburbs now.
yeah,
Are the place at least we go to. I mean, we're suburban people. I
yeah,
think you are too.
yeah. So
And yeah, but
yes, I
even
agree.
so, even so, it feels like the suburban spots have been doing better in the last couple years
I
than
think so. I
some of the
mean,
city places. But
people
I don't know.
are. I hope they're kind of still discovering, these the local gems that are out there, especially after like the pandemic and
I know.
kind of people
Yeah.
getting back out in the world now again. I think that was a really hard time for venues to survive. So maybe this could be like, the current scene might be still a kind of a
Recovering.
remainder of that time. Kind of like,
Yeah.
like a balancing, of everything that was happening, beforehand. Maybe there were
And
too many venues. I don't know.
yeah, maybe.
But
And maybe people are just looking for more value for their dollar too with the inflation. And you go
yeah,
to you go to a place like Broken Goblet, it's a very high quality experience. If you go to the
I
music,
I agree.
yeah, if you go to the music room, you're going to get best in class stage
Yep,
lighting, sound,
absolutely.
beer, and
Mhm.
even was a cafe Dilla, I think that's what they're called, the new restaurant
Yeah, the
partner.
little eatery. Yeah,
Yeah, and they're building a kitchen there, which is still like usual kinds of delays happen, but they're building a full kitchen, so
that's
they're gonna have
awesome.
a more expansive menu. But even what they have now is really good. So you
Yeah,
go there and you have this like, and it's cheap. And we're talking about most of the tickets I see for the ticketed shows are like $25, maybe $50. I saw like
yeah,
very usually less than that. Cover charges are like $10 off
yep.
if they have them,
Mhm.
and so you're getting a really good value in the when you go there. But I mean, maybe people are just being more picky now, and it's just harder to
Possibly.
compete because I mean, when we were debriefed that brief period of time during the pandemic, and when the Arts Garage was a physical place, and we were
Hmm.
doing some events, we managed to get people to come out, but it was like because there was nowhere else to go. And as
Right,
soon as bars and other venues started opening up again, we were like, well, this isn't going to work.
right,
People don't want to come out. We knew we couldn't provide enough value to make for a lot of people to come out
right.
for stuff. We did have some successful open mics with like local people, and successful for us was like a handful of people would come out, maybe like 12
Mhm.
people or something.
Yeah,
So it's a really hard business, and
it
I don't
very challenging. I
I don't
mean,
know what could work, but
I don't know if it's actually really true, but I always heard like restaurants have like, the majority of them fail within a year. I'm curious what that
yeah,
statistic would be for music venues. I bet you it's a pretty short duration that a
I
lot of places exist. And once you get past a certain couple of years, you kind of build enough name for yourself that people will
yeah.
come and kind of like even the Royal, like as another example, like they've started to create enough of like a they have enough momentum now that it can kind of
Uh-huh.
carry them through sometimes, and yeah, another great little spot, you know.
And they've had some other things besides just straight up like music,
Mhm.
right? I think they've experimented with some other types of acts,
Yeah,
right?
they do a lot of comedy stuff too. Like it's
That
been
that's good.
very
That's cool.
kind of a stall. What's the word for it? It's a like it's been a very steady part of
Yeah,
their
okay.
repertoire.
That's a
It's very much like the Kennett Square, the Kennett Flash down there.
okay.
That venue is also just like them. It's like a they're under the 501c thing. They're a
Yeah.
nonprofit, and that's kind of you know a good way to create like a space now is kind of have that nonprofit backing. You can apply for funds and funding
Right.
from certain sources that help keep the doors open and the music coming
And
through. And then you can take chances on different kinds of stuff. You're not putting on tribute acts every night of the week.
yeah, I do
That kind of
it
thing.
and they also have a is that brewery still next door to them?
Yeah, the ways I think
The
they
ways
call it.
I still have some tokens for free beer I got to use for them.
You gotta
Ironically,
use them up.
I got them when I was at Broken Goblet for a beer
Oh,
event,
really?
and they were there, and I
Cool.
got the beer, and I think I said I was just there or something. I was just got one of your beers, and they gave me 2 chips. It was real
Nice.
nice. But yeah, the way so it feels like to me that a lot of the successful venues, they are either at a brewery or they're
Yeah.
partnered with a brewery for part of it. Like you need to be providing something beyond just the music. You need to have some good beverages available. And one thing I've noticed, the cocktails have been getting more popular and non-alcoholic. I've heard this from some other people in the business. Like non-alcoholic requests have been going up last several years. Like there's more
Interesting.
people not drinking alcohol or just want an option.
Yeah.
And so
It's funny
yeah.
you mentioned that. I had an artist friend I just met recently. We played a show at another kind of like new startup venue in Mount Holly, um, called we don't get this wrong. It's Mill Street Music is the name of it. That's the name of the place. And it's in a photography studio, which you would find pretty cool.
Oh,
Um, but anyways, long story short, I met him there. We played a show a couple weeks ago together, and he was saying the same thing. He frequents this one venue in New Hope, and it's a kava bar. It's not like a
oh.
bar. It's like
I don't even know what kava is.
you know what? It's apparently some kind of like Indonesian,
I'm
and it's
gonna
what he
look
was
that
telling
up.
me. This is all secondary information, but it's apparently some kind of like Indonesian root that people use, and it's
Okay.
very allegedly it's holistic and it's supposed to be calming, not unlike a CBD kind of influenced
Okay.
type of drink or whatever. But anyways, he goes to this kava bar and they have music happening there, so it's yeah, I think you might be right. There's something to that, both the being able to offer more than just like a
Yeah.
stage, but also being able to um, have different kinds of
Yeah.
drinks. For example, like also another place in Jersey where I live down here, called Death of the Fox. It's a brewery and a coffee house at the same time, and they have music all the time now since the state finally decided to abolish that law that they had against a certain number of events at
Wait,
breweries. And
did
yeah,
they? I thought that was abolished and they brought it back and now did they
well,
abolish it?
perhaps it just recently though kind of went out of.
I can't keep track of Jersey
Yeah,
laws.
it's crazy. It's now finally struck down.
Yeah, I was just thinking
So
like Pennsylvania has pretty. Okay, Pennsylvania, we have the idiotic liquor control board, which
yeah,
someday I hope we wise up and get the government out of our alcohol. But in the meantime, it's at least the rules were
yeah,
loosened enough that breweries could be like a venue like Broken Goblet. Like it,
right.
there was a point in time where I don't think that was possible. Uh,
No,
and the Pennsylvania liquor business, like the distilleries, have gotten good enough that you can use Pennsylvania liquor for cocktails, and you can get really good cocktails out of it.
nice.
Like there's,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of, I think a lot of the rules, I'm not an expert, but I think you need to use mostly, if not entirely, PA
mm.
liquors for some of these licenses.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, the licenses are complicated, so I don't know, but it kind of depends on what you're doing. I mean, at Broken Goblet, eventually, and when their distillery is operating, they'll be able to use eventually down the line, years from now, they'll be able to use all their own alcohol
That'd be great.
for like they're going to start with clear stuff, obviously, and then eventually whiskey. But whiskey takes at least 3 years minimum, I think, probably
Yeah,
maybe longer to get good whiskey out of stuff. So, uh, but eventually they'll start with I think gin or something is pretty quick to make. I'm not an expert, but they're
Yeah,
gonna some of the clear liquids. They'll be starting that eventually.
I'm
It's
not an expert either on that.
yeah, but even with the loosening, the laws are so like the regulatory agencies are such a pain in the butt and they get in the way. But I just wonder. I've been noticing this trend. Like maybe just people don't want to go to a dive bar anymore. Like the Grape Room was great. I had a lot of fun going to the Grape Room.
Me too.
And we had the episode a while back where we reminisced about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I liked it.
I think I posted on one of your when you
Yeah.
shared the event. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it was great, and I had some good times. I didn't even frequent it because it is a bit out of the way for me. But even the times I went there, I had a good time. But it was definitely like you have to be a music lover to go there. You weren't going there for the drinks. They
Right.
they had some decent beer on tap. That's it. I mean, you would get some whiskey and some beer. Like you're not going to get like it wasn't a cocktail bar or anything. It was like a dark kind of
Yep.
small.
Yeah,
it was interesting, but
it was a very one-sided kind of thing where it was specifically only about the music. And I mean, as an artist, I mean, you could argue like that's the kind of place you theoretically want to play.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think it also really limits like your exposure in many ways because you have, if you think about it, like you're only getting people that were specifically there to see, either you or the band before you or after you play. And so, imagine like a place like Broken Goblet that people are coming there just to check out the beer, and then next thing they know, they find their next favorite band. There's
or
kind
vice
of
versa,
yeah, exactly. So like, you have people come out, see a show, and like, wow, that place was great. Let's go back and see. I know people come see me there. We'll go now and see shows there on the regular. So I think that's kind of what you're talking about. It's more that intersection of desires and wants.
I just wonder if the culture is changing, the nightlife culture, whatever you call it. Maybe there's just not enough people and even, places we go to, I mean, it's not usually younger people. There was a party at your Broken Goblet, like a 30-year-old party, and they were like the youngest people, I think, in the room, like the most part.
True.
Like, I don't see a lot of young people going out to see live music by the bands like guitar based bands that we are in or play. I mean, obviously they go to concerts, they'll go to shows by pop stars, they'll sell out. Taylor Swift will sell out stuff. But like local bands, I don't know. I don't see, maybe it's just the places I go. It could just be that too. But I don't hear a lot of interest from like younger people, like that.
I don't know. I don't talk to enough younger people.
Yeah, I don't know much. Yeah, obviously neither. So
my students are one thing, but they're all my current students are kind of beneath the age of being able to kind of go out and experience that kind of stuff. So it's been a couple of years since I taught at the college level, but I should pick their brain if I get a chance to teach.
Yeah, you should, because there's a lot of I think the younger generation is a lot of like online parasocial engagement happening with artists. Like there's a lot of they'll follow a lot of people on social media groups and on social media accounts, but I don't, it doesn't necessarily translate anymore to physical. I was reading or watching I can't keep track of mine if I saw it on a YouTube video or I read it somewhere anymore, but it was like some discussion about a little bit about the difference between YouTubers today and TikTok, and where like on TikTok you can get huge numbers of followers, but it doesn't necessarily seem to translate into people knowing who you are. Like on YouTube
or something.
Well, yeah, like YouTube, you're a personality if you're real popular, and people know, like they know who Mr. Beast is, and if Mr. Beast shows up somewhere, they can recognize him, they want to see him. But there was like one of these YouTube conferences and video conferences, and some TikTokers were there, and apparently a lot of these big, huge TikTokers, huge followings, like nobody really went up to them, like no one really recognized them, and it's because TikTok's algorithm is different than YouTube. YouTube is like really focused, or at least it was originally focused on like individual creators and their channels and their personalities. TikTok is all about a stream that you just flip through, and you don't care who created it. They have the little name of the character and the person in the corner, but that's it. Like you don't have there's not you're not going to the person's channel like you on YouTube. You're just looking at this endless stream that's algorithmically generated for you, and then
I learned something new, man. I've never been on TikTok.
I'm not really on TikTok either, but I try to keep up with how stuff works.
You're in that world.
I mean, similarly, if you're on Shorts on YouTube, same pattern, or Instagram with the short videos. But at least on Instagram, it's like usually I just see people I follow.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
you go to like the Shorts tab on YouTube, and it's just who knows what they're giving you.
Yeah, God knows what.
And so that doesn't really lead to having a strong connection with the artist or with the creator.
It's a really interesting observation. I hadn't put two and two together. I know the students at my school are all about their TikToks and doing their TikTok dances and stuff that they do. You know, that's like the thing. But yeah, I didn't really know how it worked. That's interesting.
Yeah, I wonder is TikTok? You think TikTok's gonna be banned or someone gonna buy it?
I don't know. I mean, I think
law.
Maybe. Answer the question. I was reading a little bit about like the whole conversation, but you know, on the one hand, it seems kind of hard to ban something like that without like falling into this world of like, I don't want to say censorship, but it kind of falls into that category, right? Like, you know, there are certain countries who censor content that people can have on the internet. I hope we're not headed that direction. That feels
TikTok,
a little restrictive, but
yeah, as of this recording, like on May 8th, there was some reporting. CNBC said TikTok is suing the U.S. government.
Oh, okay.
So
well, they'll probably lock it up for years in court. So.
Yeah, the law was passed was about divestiture of it. So it was like we're not banning you, but you have to sell it, and because yeah, I am not on this. I did not think it was a good idea. There's people that I respect that really think that it was a good idea because they see TikTok as this bad influence, because it is like, I mean, let's be honest, it's basically it's a Chinese government controlled. Despite what they say, everybody knows that they are taking data, or like they suspect anyway. There's data might be flowing from the United States into wherever in China. Like I don't know that. I don't know if that's the case, but a lot of people think that is the case. Right? That's the fear. That's I think the fear motivating it, and at least part of it. Yeah. And the fact that like social media companies from America are not allowed in China.
Right.
So it's like, why do we allow them in here? But the way I look at it is like TikTok, I don't like TikTok. And I do think TikTok is kind of attempts to manipulate people with their algorithm in different ways. But I don't think, first of all, people are robotic automatons and they're so easily manipulated. Children, maybe, because children are not fully developed cognitively. So that's where I think you should be, as a parent, not allowing your kids to be sitting on TikTok all day. But that's another whole other thing. But I don't think that, like, we are supposed to be a free and open culture, which means that, other actors, other countries that are not like that can take advantage of that. But a lot of Americans get value from TikTok. Whether I do is not relevant. Whether you do, there definitely are people that have careers on TikTok. There are businesses that use TikTok effectively. It is something that people individually choose. No one's forcing anyone to use TikTok, right? And I just think it's weird that we have that there was this attempt to do anything about it. It's like, if you think TikTok's so bad, then make that clear to people. Give evidence why you think it's bad, and let people make up their own minds. Right. I think it's weird. It's not technically censorship, I guess, but I think it's in the same vein. I'm like, I don't agree with some of these guys I respect who are like, yeah, this is a good idea because China doesn't let us in. And I'm like, well, we're supposed to be better than China. Like, like it's setting a better example of an open culture.
You said it better than I did. I agree with you 100%. That's exactly my feeling. My concern is this trend towards censoring things that, I don't know. A lot of that, if we have any business really doing, if we believe to be free and open, about
there's a lot of that,
allowing consumers to do as they please. If we're a true free market system, allow the market to decide. So I mean, it's a weird thing. So it's a good question. I mean, I thought about it a little bit. Do I think perhaps that some of my students, for example, would benefit from not being on TikTok all the time? Hell yeah. Yeah. But but at the same time, I mean, I'm sure my parents said the same thing about me and Nintendo or whatever, So it's always that thing that the older generation bemoans about the younger generation, right? And then we always seem to survive.
So there's some of that, and I mean, now you talk to someone. If you look at some research like by Jonathan Haidt, who's had a new book come out. If you never read Coddling of the American Mind, that was his first big book on this kind of
I'm familiar with the name, but I never read any of his work, I don't think.
Well, that was an amazing book, because if you want to understand what's going on college campuses and stuff, read that book. And that was previewing all this, because that book was talking about how generations of students are being taught these untruths about the world, and the like what they call it, like the three great untruths. Let's see if I and it was originally an article, and then here we go, the three untruths. So you must strive to avoid bad experiences at all costs. You must always trust your emotions over reason. The world is black and white battle between good people and bad people. There's no middle ground. That's basically what this website summarizes. That sounds right from what I remember it. So the argument was basically you're teaching students to be, fragile, engaging in promoting safetyism. He actually names the concept of the way we always are so focused on safety about everything. And like coming out of this was some some idea that maybe this is bad, and maybe we should let kids be more free roaming. There was a movement for like more free roaming childhood stuff. And then at the time this came out, though, there was this idea of it's things like social media hurting kids, and there wasn't a ton of like research about it either way. So then I know he's been he wrote this other book. He started gathering research papers and going through them, and now he has a new one called his new book is what is this called? He's talking about like how anxious people are, how anxious the kids are now, and how social media is he has an argument that he's trying to make that social media is literally the cause of a lot of issues we see in the statistics with young people today. And I'm not in full agreement, I think, but he calls the last book is called, I'm trying to look it up, it's called The Anxious Generation: How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. And so I've seen a bunch of books coming out now talking about mental illness and how, like therapy speak and the way that we treat the idea of mental health has been actually very damaging. But this particular one talks, his big takeaway from this going around the media is saying that social media itself is bad. And I'm like, I'm not totally total agreement with it, because I understand where he's coming from. His argument comes from, he's saying like the algorithms themselves can be damaging, I think. I mean, I haven't read the book, but I think this is what he's saying. It's on my list though. And it's like, he's saying the social media itself is bad, and that it's because he says it's linked to a lot of these crises among young people, like from, I can't say certain words on YouTube, but like self-deleting, on for young children, that's been going up for kids. A lot of like just all variety of diagnosed mental health issues and anxiety. Kids are saying anxiety, and that it comes from using
a lot of kids in my school who feel rather anxious, and they have
so
diagnoses connected with it.
I don't think he's wrong about kids should not be using this stuff. He also says he suggests that I don't think the kids shouldn't have a phone till like 16 or something like that. And some of the stuff I am in agreement with, like for kids specifically, they're not fully developed. But I think that the problem I have with it is whether or not he intends it this way. I'm not sure. Is that people will take that and say, "Oh, we should ban this stuff," and I'm like, I don't want the government getting involved. I want parents to take charge of their kids' like mental health, and don't give them smartphones until they're older. Like this argument that I've heard this over and over again. Why don't schools all ban cell phones? And the argument is like, well, we can't because I need to be able to reach my kid in an emergency. Like, or it's like, reach your kid. It's like, or it's like, it's not right because all the other kids have it. Jonathan Haidt talks about this too. He's like, well, it's hard for you as a parent to say you can't have this phone because everybody else does, and so it's a big part of their social life. And I'm just like, come on, man.
I need to check that out. Like I said, I know the name, right? I think it's because being an educator, I think his name gets bandied about a little bit about these
probably
kind of conversations.
He's a social psychologist. I have some disagreements with him, I think, after reading his stuff, but I do think he has a point. There's something going on with the social media and the mobile phone revolution, and being able to access, like regurgitate your thoughts on the internet, and the way that these algorithms, and to go back to like TikTok, the way the algorithms work, I think is something that worries a lot of people. So one thing on TikTok from the creator side that I've heard and I have no way of verifying this, but I heard that like if you start a TikTok account, it will like push your content in front of lots of people at first, so that you get like all these views and like interactions. They'll try
Wow.
to get that for you, and then when you get like after a while, or you get to a certain size or something, then they stop doing that. But it's like an intentional is what I mean. Again, I
Yeah,
can't say for
siphoning.
sure, but like it's like an intentional like push to make you get the feedback. Oh, this is great, this is fun. I'm like getting feedback,
Wow.
which to got to get you hooked on doing it. That would
Interesting.
be the
Well,
implication.
I would love
Yeah.
to hear like that in like actual data. That would be
Yeah, I would
interesting.
love to see if that's true, because that's just like what I've heard anecdotally
Yeah,
from people. But I'm
and
like, but
that
it
would make me
fits.
question it a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't know. You don't know what
Yeah,
when you're consuming content algorithmically, it's not like Facebook where you or something where you're following people, or it's not like even like Twitter where at least
yeah,
the following section of Twitter. It's not like it's not like with blogs or when we're just all having blogs or websites
yeah.
where you're like you go specifically to the site, you go to the person, or YouTube is a great example. You go to the
The
channel
channel. Yeah.
or your subscription list to see the videos of the people, the
Mhm.
content you want. It's instead some algorithm is pushing content in front of your face based on whatever signals it has and whatever agenda is behind it.
That's
Uh,
that's why. Yeah. So I never
yeah, and
understood how that worked. So yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, like on something like TikTok, the app has access to all kinds of information. It knows exactly what videos you watch, when you watch them, and then
Oh,
and you
so it give you more stuff that
yeah,
falls
yeah.
into that
I mean,
line.
yeah, YouTube does that too,
Right.
and no one knows exactly what
How
the
it works.
algorithm does because it
Right.
gets changed. But some of this is good, because if I want to watch, if I'm trying to learn how to like, I don't know, I wanted to build a shed, and I go
Right.
look up videos on building a shed, and
And
I
then you
watch
be
a few of
offered
them,
videos that
it
yeah.
might offer me more. That's a simple way, but
Right.
there's much
Right.
more complicated algorithms you can implement. So
Interesting.
I mean, I have to read this book. I'm gonna read the Anxious Generation. It's on my list because I really liked Coddling in the American Mind. I recommend people who really want to understand what's going on college
Yeah.
campuses read that, because that was Jonathan Haidt and Greg Lukianoff, and that was a really good one. Oh yeah, the other one was getting me confused is Greg Lukianoff and Ricky Schlott wrote The Canceling of the American Mind,
Oh,
which is about cancel culture. Uh,
interesting.
and
I'm sure they
that's why
probably
I was
go
getting confused by
into
the
some
names.
questions that that probably deal with the same kind of things, though. I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably some overlap, but the Coddling American Mind was like we should teach kids anti-fragility, not fragility, which is basically what they're being taught in school. And then if not, bad things are going to happen. And we fast forward to today because this book came out in 2018.
Oh wow.
I think the original article was like 2017. And you're like, if you read this book and you see what's happening now, you're like, well, this was literally predicted. Like
Mm.
if you just follow the logic of what was happening on colleges then, and they trace it back to I think 2014, I think or so. It's when like the millennials are finishing college, and then like younger kids come in,
Yeah.
and something is different about the younger cohort starting around 2014,
Yeah.
and you could see it online too. You can see it on Twitter, you see it
Yeah.
everywhere, and then it's been this wave of this like of effect since around 2014 2015. So
Yes, I've
yeah,
actually read a few articles connected with so not social media specifically, but like smartphones actually,
yeah,
and the increase in anxiety and also other mental health issues, and that a lot of people have drawn that specifically back to the introduction of the iPhone. In fact,
yeah.
they put it specifically back to that date as like
That was
kind
like
of
2000.
like the watershed moment
Yeah,
that really changed the way in which we engage with information. And then like it's going in different directions too. Like like Nicholas Carr, for example, I always think about his like he asked the
uh
question like is Google making us stupid and like this big
oh right,
question.
I remember that.
That was that's a great article too about about the depth versus the breadth that we come in contact
Yeah,
with. Right? So I think it ties into what you're
yeah,
talking about too. Instead of like diving deep into the content that one individual creates, rather you're getting breadth of all these
yeah.
individuals that you don't connect with at a deeper level. You're getting a ton
And
of
you're getting sometimes messages like content that pushes a very
right.
specific message for whatever reason, because you engage with that content, and so it's repeating it, or because the platform may be intentionally pushing it. You don't know.
True, true.
And then today we have the AI, which I hate the name AI. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. None of this stuff is intelligent. It's just another form of automation. And and the thing though is, you just this thought came to me because you mentioned the car article about Google making us dumber. There's this in the software world where I am, in programming world. There's this like kind of debate I've seen start bubbling up with some creators, some software developer creators,
Yeah.
who are like, if you're a beginner, if you're new to the programming, don't use AI, is like one side, because you're not going to learn what you need to learn. You're not going to understand things because you're just going to be copying, pasting stuff. And because these tools are not trustworthy enough, you can't just trust the output of them, especially if you don't have any experience. You're just going to be, it's like, it's the same thing when I was in school and I was, it was like, don't cheat, because you're cheating yourself. You're not like, nobody else cares really. I mean, the institution cares if they catch you because it's about institution reputation, but it's like ultimately it doesn't really hurt anybody else as much as it hurts you. I mean, if you lie and you get a job or something you don't deserve, as we see, like we see with plagiarism case, that's bad. But you know what I mean? Like, the person you hurt the most when you cheat on a test or cheat on is yourself. Like, why don't you want to learn this stuff? If you learn things and you learn how to do them without the automated assistance, then you can use the automated assistance. And even back in high school, I was writing our article like in the paper about this. I think I argued that like you shouldn't have computers for kids, like little kids. You don't need computers until much later. It wasn't really beneficial to have these tools until much later because they kind of undermine learning other skills. And you see today, I've just noticed that kids can't write. They can't write cursive. They can't like do math in like in your head to do change and stuff.
Right.
And
it's funny you mention that stuff, man. Because I have gone back to, like, in my classroom, I use a lot of pen and paper stuff now. And the things I get to read sometimes, like it's atrocious. I can barely even read their writing, and it's printed. It's not even like cursive. It's wild, man. And I do worry about that kind of stuff too. I mean, it's a big question. Like, have we traded certain things that we used to value, for ease and comfortability? Is there something to developing, like muscle memory and fine motor detail that's going to eventually, hurt us in the long run? I don't know, man. It's a big question.
Yeah, I mean, something about cursive, I'm not sure about, but
yeah, I don't know about that. But I mean, what I'm saying is, like, being able to do things, fine motor stuff. If you're not writing every day, you're not using your hands to create stuff every day. I mean, your typing is different. It's a different kind of thing.
Well, there's
language. I like when these kids write, I find that they are better at remembering the things that they're writing. Like, there's an element of that, the neural pathways that could created in the process of writing is different than typing, than keystrokes. It's just it's a different thing.
That's been shown, I think, in a lot of research on how to learn, and you see it in some of the best advice. How to learn is a lot of emphasis on you should, part of his handwriting. That's not, I think, absolutely necessary, but it definitely helps, and especially when you're younger, like because I don't know if it's true, if it's really better, because a lot of these studies, frankly, I don't find like they're bad. Like most things of social science, I find kind of BS-y and like weak sauce in terms of their statistics and stuff. But I think there's enough evidence for this to think there's some kind of connection between the act of writing it down, maybe because there's this very tactile feedback, and because some people hypothesize it's like you can type faster, so you're not really paying attention when you write something down. You have to integrate it to some degree, and then you have to summarize it into some, like, your own word. When you're taking notes properly, you have to do some level of real-time integration. Only write down the most important thing, because you literally can't write it fast enough. But when you can type, you have more of a tendency to type and try to transcript of what's happening, which is another angle I've heard, which I think has some plausibility in my mind, that if you're not trained on how to take notes properly with a keyboard, your instinct is just to transcribe, and you can get kind of like zone out, in my experience. So I can understand that too. But I wonder if you're using like a tablet. Like, I like to use a tablet when I have to write stuff, like to mark up things. I have a little iPad mini. Yeah. I wonder if that's any different than using paper. Like, if there's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably debatable. I know for a fact, like, or at least not, I don't know about fact, but I know that in the classroom, like I find it's an easy way to kind of prevent some things from happening too. Like, you know, like the temptation to go and get all your answers from just Google Translate or whatever, you know, is removed if you have to actually put things on pen and paper. It's like a true test of ability at times. So like I've been using that a lot, you know,
Pen and paper?
I teach, you know, I teach foreign language. I guess kind of what I've been doing the past couple of years, you know, so getting students to use like their own knowledge of a language or what they already learned is a lot harder when they have a Chromebook in front of them and they can just simply type whatever question they want to into Google and get some second rate kind of translation. Now look, that technology is getting really good. Really
That's what
fast.
LLMs were designed for. That was they're designed to do translation.
It's impressive how good they're getting.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll ever get to the point where they could replace, you know, people like, you know, who are our translators, that kind of thing. I don't know if that'll ever happen. But
I think they can to a point. Like, obviously, there are always subtleties.
Sure.
And there's different translations for things. Like I was watching I was at my Philly Coca meeting the other day. We did it on Zoom. One of the members did a presentation about a conference he was just at, and one of the talks in the conference was about like localization, and he was talking about how to do localization for your app, you know, like all the user interface controls, the text in your app, the button names, etc. And he said it's a combination of things, including these AI automated things and including humans. But it's like having humans do it bespoke and properly is very expensive. So you do that only for the most important parts of your app, right? And then for other things, you can use this machine translation, which is like, okay, it's not always, you know, it'll miss nuances. It'll be a little awkward and stuff, but it'll work enough to get the gist.
The meaning gets across. If you're thinking of it as like a communicative tool,
right.
Great.
So
you know,
in that respect,
trying to teach like the fine elements about like learning a language. Like the bigger concern for me, Steve, is when I think about like the process of how you learn, right? And like if learning a foreign language, and again, I'm a teacher from, you know, by trade, and you know, for me, it's like the situation of I'm not just teaching a student German, right? I'm teaching them how to learn a language. Which in many ways translates to how to learn a lot of things. There's a reason why the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA go after foreign language PhDs, you know, as analysts. There's a reason why they seek these people out, because they know how to learn. You know, like they know how to approach something. Like you could teach them anything, right? And that's kind of with the way that we're like asked to look at the foreign language. Like, do I expect the person's going to remember the word for apple in German? Great, I hope they do. But it's more about like, how do you approach a problem like language learning, you know, and in a way that's effective? My concern is that if you just rely entirely on technology to do that for you, I wonder what it'll shortchange any of the learning process that occurs, like in terms of like the problem solving, the critical thinking connected with what's necessary, relying too much upon, you know, those kind of tools, you know, and they're great tools. They are getting better, daily, you know, and it's impressive to see what they can do. I mean, can I pick holes in it? Sure, but you know, like, you know, I'm a realist. I understand that people are going to rely upon this even when they're traveling, you know. But I do worry about like what kind of deep learning is actually occurring, you know, and you know, function is one thing, but like, is there real learning occurring? I would be dubious, you know, about that. You know, if they're relying so heavily. So, like for example, I've been kind of like asking them to write on paper again. You know, it sounds archaic, but it really is a test of their ability. You know, and I don't. It's surely a debate that's going to go into the future. I know, but they don't. You know,
they even do AP tests and standardized tests now on computers instead of writing essays.
Most of those programs, as I'm coming to learn, you know, or they pretty much lock your computer down, so you can't stray from the like you can't navigate anywhere else besides that single window you're in.
But I'm just saying, like you don't even write anymore when you're when you're taking tests.
Very
you
true.
know, the whether AI gets, how good AI is going to get, I don't know. I think the current algorithms that are being built they work by feeding it a bunch of stuff humans have made, and then it
Right.
kind of is a black boxy thing. But if it through various techniques, you end up with a kind of a black box model, which can take in the input of text and then generate the output of
Right.
text that's statistically likely to be what you would want. And so you can think about for translation, that makes sense. If you have a lot of English and a lot of German, and you have like a lot of relationships between the words that can be picked up. And the same thing with syntax. It's like I think people mistake these things for reasoning, because what it's actually doing, it's just a syntax. It's just it can make relation. It can not understand, but like there's a statistical relationship between words in like sentences and paragraphs and stuff, and that syntax is also somewhat related to how ideas are related in a well-written manuscript. For instance, like you write things in a certain order, sentences have a format to them, etc. So I think the fact that it generates text, it's like it seems like it's reasoning. It's not reasoning. It's just picking up the statistical relationships. And so for language generation, I feel like universal translator is something that you've seen some Star Trek forever, and I think some degree of that. Yeah, if there's enough content on both sides, like you can get it to do a translation that's decent enough for communication, but it's not the same thing as actually understanding a language.
Right.
And I think it can also you also have to be careful, because when you translate languages, the concepts are closely associated with the words. Like if there's a word for a concept that doesn't have a direct translation, like it's hard for you to understand what it is the author's intent was, because you don't necessarily have the exact same concept in your language, or just describing your language. So, and a computer is not gonna be able to figure that out. No. So, but you reminded me of something. I read a book the other day called The Sparrow from 1996. I don't know if you ever heard of it. No. I never heard of it until recently. Mary Doria Russell. It's won Arthur C. Clarke Award. It's an interesting sci-fi novel where it's about like a Jesuit priest and some people that go to another planet. Like we discover another planet, and they manage to get there and interact with these aliens there and stuff. And it's kind of interesting. It's like a philosophical science fiction book, and there's like some sequels. I didn't like it all that much, but it had interesting moments. One thing that was interesting I found about the world building, which they barely touch on, is that one of the main characters, her job is to build AIs to duplicate the ability of really high ability people. So one of the characters is a Jesuit priest. He's like a linguist, and he can just pick up languages and stuff. So part of the book is she gets assigned to take his process for learning languages, figure out what it is with him, and then duplicate that into an AI.
Wow.
And so in this world, this has happened before. And so like then you have an AI which can do as well or better than the very best human being at this job. And then and so that'll replace people. And this is like 1996, I think it said, right? 96. I'm like, that's
some of the questions people are asking right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Is that going to happen? But the way that this book looked at it was not the way generative AI works today. This was a person, a human being, writing some kind of code that was codifying the process of learning, I think, is what I gathered from the person. So it really, the way it worked, you really had to understand how this person learned a language. It wasn't just like throw a bunch of data at it and then say, yeah, this works, this doesn't work, and do that enough times, and it kind of has some black box, algorithm. It was like, no, it's this woman was really good at her job because she was able to very quickly work with someone and asking lots of questions and doing lots of evaluations, and then creating the software program. And I was like, that's pretty neat concept in there. And I just thought the assumption is very different from, I think, today, where the assumption is that we have enough data, we can do anything. And I don't think that's true.
Yeah. No, I think, at least the current models, everything I've read about them, I've read a few things, especially being like the education profession right now. There's so much conversation about AI, about texts that are generated and this, that, and the other, and what's acceptable use versus unacceptable use in terms of plagiarism and yada, yada, yada. The things I've encountered is that there's only so far that, this generative AI can go and do. But it leads me to ask the question, is there a point that we'll get to that actual AI Like, will we get there? Like, will we actually create something that can learn on its own and be able to like?
I'm skeptical that that's ever possible with computers because of the way they work.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people think that. But in any case, we're not even like remotely approaching anything like that. We don't even have computers now that can reason. Like they're machines. They're all deterministic machines. It's like,
Right.
but people they think they can do more than they can because of how fluent the generated English is.
Right.
And for
We're just
those
borrowing from what's out there, so they're just borrowing common phrases that occur.
It's remixing. It's like remixing the stuff that was. It's the way I kind of think about it is this is all like not technically true, but like a gross simplification. It's kind of like a lossy compression of all the data that you got put into it. Because like when you train it, you feed it. There's lots of data that comes into it, and it ends up creating these weights. They're just numbers, but they're really. If you put them on like a 3D kind of graph, you would be able to, like, for instance, you could see like words and how close they are to each other in this kind of topographical space. And so that kind of gives you the impression of like if the word "the" is used often, with this word is like the most common after it, for instance, to be real simple. So it's like if you put in the word like the roses are red, right? You put that in, it's probably likely that violets are blue. It will come out as one of the most statistically likely next sequence of characters because that's a very famous phrase. It's probably all over the data set that came into it. But doesn't mean it thinks. It's not thinking about anything.
Right.
And then and then it's like the date. How good is the data that's going into it? And if people are using these tools to generate new data, then gets fed back into it. Is that going to affect it? Like and then there's other kinds of generative stuff like with images and stuff, but they're all basically remixing things and using these statistical programs. Now they can get really impressive, but the way I've been thinking about the most useful thing about like specifically generative LLMs, that AI is it's really great as an interface, a user interface, because you can say things to it and you can get words back and you can get these models to kind of hook into regular kind of software tools. You train them to like to kind of have like these little hooks. So it's like the program, you'll be able to tell the program in kind of natural language, I want to edit this photo, like theoretically should do this. Like I want this photo, I want right now you could type in something like I want to take this photo and make it look like an anime character or something, and it'll do whatever. But I mean, I think you can use it for just direct user interface instructions.
Right.
I think that's going to be really useful. So you could talk to it like a computer in Next Generation Star Trek, that kind of thing would be useful, and not for everything, but for more complicated things, or maybe for things that you just don't want to be clicking around endlessly. Maybe you can just say it and have it do it. So we've been talking about that on the Philly Coca podcast as like a universal UI. So like everything is going to have some form of this. Dingus. I don't want to say the word SIRI because it's set off my thing. But like all of our tools will have some level of this. And I've been using some of the stuff for image, helping image generation. Adobe's put some good tools in Photoshop, which are interesting. Like you can.
My son uses that one where you create images of things, like because he has like a little YouTube channel that he likes to put like stop animation Lego videos up. He does that kind of stuff. And like, it's amazing to see how well he does with this. And like he's gotten really cool images out of like these AI image creators. And it boggles my mind about some of this stuff. And he's just like feeding it prompts, and like it just amalgamates these prompts from what's out on the internet and spits this image back. And it's like, wow, it's kind of like actually pretty accurate to what he wanted to see. It's like, it's a neat thing.
Yeah, you can get them with enough effort and the right tools.
Yeah,
but of course, a lot of artists.
It's definitely exciting, but it scares a lot of people. Like, what do you think about like all these like songs that are on, out there now that are being created by like AI? Being able to
or voice clones or video clones of people. And a lot of artists, of course, are going to be affected. I mean, we're all going to be affected by this stuff.
Sure.
If your job can be automated, that part of it will be automated. And if your artistic output is something like, avatars or logos for companies or something, like a lot of that is there's a whole segment of that work, which is probably going to be automated away if it's not already. You know, and that is the case. But I don't think that means truly good, gifted, talented artists are going to be without work. I think actually the opposite. We always see this when we see automation, that it creates new opportunities,
Sure.
and opportunities for the people that are the most talented. And that's what maybe people don't want to hear. Like if you're not good enough to compete in a market where you have these tools, then I mean, you have to do something about that. And we
Right.
all face that, who work in the knowledge space. And it's like that's the world you live in. Like I think it, as you were saying about you know, it could be a very empowering technology for people who well, for if you're a good artist, you can use the stuff to make your art better or to make your process faster. If you're not like an artist, for instance, I could use it to make passable things for what I need. Like if I need a thumbnail for a YouTube video, it does not have to be a great work of art. You know, it's kind of disposable. I like. Do you really want to be?
That's why son uses it for his things. He just kind of like has these cool images for like things he wants to, you know,
exactly.
to talk
and it's
about.
like, and I think about, okay, so maybe at one point, if you were successful enough, you might have paid somebody to do some of those. And but now you don't have to. You can pay like a company that does but it's like it was a low level work to begin with. And of course it doesn't, and right now anyway, it doesn't take long before you hit a limit of that where it's like, this is too much hassle to try to get what I want. I want like a professional to do it. And then there's different levels of professionals. I just think that it's not an all or nothing thing. Yes, some people will definitely no longer be able to get work in the things that these tools are really good at automating. But there's other people who take advantage of them and do better. And then there's whole class of people that can now build businesses where this part of the work, which is not maybe the primary part of the business, but something they need to do as an expense, is now cheaper. And that means that they can do something else. Like economies are dynamic, and that dynamicism means that it means that sometimes businesses go under. Like part of being economy being dynamic is that, you know, things change and people lose jobs and get other jobs, and that's just the nature of it, and that's what makes it work. And so I'm not really afraid that these tools are going to destroy all of our jobs. I think it's highly unlikely that that's going to happen.
No, I tend to agree with you. I do. I'm very curious about what it means though now, like to create things too. Like
I mean,
like in the artistic space, like thinking about that, like what does it mean now that like that you could pretty much not have to hire like a mixing engineer or like a mastering engineer, right? You just plug it into this thing and it'll like, you know, take the algorithmic, you know, statistical best choices of like moving knobs and come up with something that's pretty passable.
Homogenization of the cultural products, maybe.
I'm just, I don't know. I'm kind of worried what that means. Like, you know, and like people have been talking about it a lot too, about like, you know, like the way, like how do I put this? Like the structure of, you know, again, I'm coming to it from like as a songwriter perspective, like the structures and the patterns in pop music are like becoming less and less diverse. Like 30 years ago, there was far more use of additional chord structures and substitutions for different chords. And and nowadays it's very much true. The homogenization of like pop music has really overtaken so much stuff. And I wonder like if it's true, if we're using like generative, you know, AI to do certain parts of that labor. Let's not talk about like a computer creating a song. That will always be weird. But like imagine like taking like those elements, right? And like being able to talk to you know, what do I say, like an AI tool that says, give me the 5 best chords to use to write a pop song. Like we're never gonna get another song like Steely Dan created. You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna have that. Like
I mean,
we'll have it.
Rare, more
limited. Rare. Yeah.
I mean, but let's think about it a different way though. In the past, we also had less music. Like there's just more content, and when you have more of something, you have less quality overall, because there's more of it, and there's just more garbage to sift through to get to the good stuff. So it's kind of there's like multiple problems. Part of the problem is how do you even find the good stuff? Because I think that the truly gifted and hardworking, like, you know, innovative artists are there, but then how do they get seen or heard? And back to like the discussion we're talking about venues, it's like how does anybody hear you? even if you're good, like you guys are
Right.
good, but how do you get enough people to hear, Jason
That's the
Ager and the
question I've
Gold
been asking
Eagle?
for years, man.
I know, and it gets harder and harder over time. There's more competition for our attention. There's more
Yeah.
garbage being spewed out by the software programs, honestly. But there's more, there's just more people engaged in the content creation now, and that is, I
Very much
think,
so.
overall a good thing. But
I
it makes it,
agree with that. The bar has been lowered. Like you don't have to have, independent financial backing to be able to
yeah,
create, exceptional pieces of artwork. Like in fact, a lot of the people that I admire in like the Philly local Philly scene,
mhm,
some of them are like they do bedroom recordings. Like they're working
yeah,
out of their bedrooms because they don't need to hire,
mhm,
engineers and things. And I do feel for the engineers who, ordinarily would have gotten that work.
yeah.
But like that was a threshold that a lot of people couldn't ever afford, and
Yeah,
now
that's a good point. Yeah, that's what
and
I'm saying.
it's allowing people to
Yeah,
create things who ordinarily would have been cut out of the conversation, and I think that's a good thing. And like if AI helps to create more stuff, yes, it's probably a good thing in the long run. But there's probably a lot of crap that we gotta sift through, like you said.
well,
Like
right.
it's
It's like,
it's a double edged sword,
yeah, it's like how do you teach taste? So I think today one of the
We need more.
differentiators.
But,
So I think there's two things you need. Like you need good taste today to be, I think, a successful content creator if you want to be really successful, because that is a competitive advantage that no computer can take.
right,
And the problem is, I think a lot of people don't have very good taste. They don't even understand what that means. But if you do have good taste, you can find people that agree with you. But then you still got to get through all the competition, the garbage is everywhere, and get
yeah,
like the algorithms to promote you, or you have to get you have to create some like a list of people. Like I would love more people to subscribe to the mailing list, because then I can directly tell you when I have cool stuff, instead of
right,
the algorithm hopefully giving you, putting in front of you. And
yeah,
it's like, I think today the competitive advantage for a lot of content creators is you need to have quality content. It doesn't need to be like as good as like Mr. Beast level content or something, like the biggest channels, but
right,
you need to put some effort into it,
yeah,
and then it needs to be authentic. I think people are craving authenticity.
authenticity, yeah,
Authenticity. Like we're just having a discussion here. This is about as authentic as it gets for a podcast.
yeah,
And but there's no fancy edits going on. There's none of that stuff. I think that with all of this, with all of the computerized tools making it easier to do flashier things, more
mhm,
content being available, more ability to like fake, as you said, like generate music or generate
right,
art or generate. It's like I think there's some subset of the population just wants authenticity. They
I'm hoping
you know
I'm hoping you're right about that because
I am. It's just
you
I
know,
am right. I'm totally right.
I
but
hope you are.
but I don't know
I
how
think
easy
that
it is
bodes
to.
well for people like you and me.
I think I think the other problem is, how do you reach them? I think there's an audience. I don't know how to reach the audience. I'm not very good at doing that
Yeah.
yet.
Well, I think it's a
It's
struggle
hard.
for all creators, to figure out who their audience is. Well, I will say this much. I feel like there's a lot more like, I think you're right. Like people are trying to find authentic stuff, and like the big conversation among like, at least in my circles, like, thinking about like the songwriter circles or whatever, like is that conversation about finding like your specific niche audience and like
Yeah.
curating things for them. Like we had a conversation with my bassist, and I had a conversation the other day about like maybe like doing like a show or a series of shows where like you curate like a set of music, like, and not just original stuff, but like sometimes like covers, whatever, like almost like, hey, this is a great song, and here's the reason why, and that kind of thing, and perform it for them in your own kind of spin,
Mhm.
because I think he was making a similar argument. Like people want that, like they want that experience of like learning like almost learning about the thing now. Like it's kind of, we're coming like full circle. Like,
Yeah.
it's being like, like you need patrons, like, and like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like,
that's kind of right. You kind of need patrons. You need a core set of people that will support you
yeah, who
financially,
want to
honestly.
learn the things that you have to teach them, or like, or at least
Yeah.
engage in the conversation that you want to engage with them. And I
Yeah.
think it's like every artist these days, you have to like struggle to find that community,
Yeah.
and it's not an easy thing, like there's a big conversation out there. Like I remember years ago there was an article about like finding your 1,000 fans. Like if you have a
Right.
1,000 fans, that are willing to spend like $100 a year on your content,
Yeah.
you have a lucrative career, you know. And then
Mhm.
obviously this was like probably about 10 years ago I read the article, but it's, you know, still
And
a
fan
valid thing.
and that's not equivalent to your follower count because as
Right.
I said earlier, like you can have a ton of followers on social media, it doesn't mean anything financially.
Right. And they're
You
not,
know,
yeah, if they're not willing to support you by buying your next record or
right.
going to the show or to
And yeah, and
supporting the podcast with advertisement or whatever it might be, you know, like it has to be genuine interactions that are meaningful and
so
that have like they have weight behind them. And that's like the thing that Patreon like kind of taps into.
mhm,
Like it's like literally going back to like a medieval kind of way of thinking about art, right? Like, where you had
right.
bishops and barons and supporting the artists that they believed in to create artwork for them, or for the church or whatever it was, So like I think we're headed back to that kind of era only because trying to
It's
find a foothold in larger or trying to find a foothold when there's so much material, I think it becomes trickier and trickier.
yeah, I mean, you need to be providing something of value. It's a very competitive space too.
Yes, that's
But
true.
you don't need to be providing something that appeals widely. As you said, you need just
Right,
you need a small group. The hard part is finding those people
right,
and
right.
you
And
know,
maybe the algorithms can help you do that, like
I mean,
more
I think there
interested.
was a time, yeah, I think there was a time where the algorithms did help. I feel like we may have turned a corner in recent couple years because everybody's down from what I was watching. I was watching, I think, the Northrops or some photographers. They do a podcast and they were talking about
Mhm.
every YouTube being down and a lot of people have been talking about how views are down, revenues down and stuff. Because the algorithm's fickle and Google, or YouTube, whatever, whoever owns YouTube, whatever, the
Right.
YouTube algorithm and
Alphabet.
the algorithm, yeah, the alphabet, yeah, the algorithms, they are meant to benefit the company, like YouTube more than the creators, right? They like it has to balance a lot of interests, but what they want is the algorithm to put videos in front of people that are
Yeah.
advertiser friendly, and advertiser friendly has a specific definition that you or I may not totally be on board with, but it is the
Mhm.
one that the company has that the advertisers basically are pushing, to some degree, right? And then so if it's advertiser friendly and a lot of people are going to watch it and
Yeah.
see the ads, like that's the stuff that the algorithm may put. And again, we don't know how these algorithms work, but it makes sense to think that it's going to want to push certain types of content that are more valuable for like YouTube than necessarily for you specifically, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
like sometimes certain niches just blow up or they're popular and then they just die off. And that could be
Mm.
from normal audience interest, but it can also be because the algorithm just stopped promoting stuff for
Right.
whatever reasons. Things happen and they change it and certain topics maybe become off limits or certain topics get promoted for a while and others don't.
Right.
And so if you just trust these algorithms, it's probably not great. Like if you're huge, maybe you can get away with that. But
Right.
I feel like the rest of us, we need to figure out how to build that like Patreon, whether it be Patreon or some other service, but like the set of patrons, the
Yes.
newsletter,
Yes.
the old school ways from back in the early days of the web are still, I think, valid. Build a website.
Emails.
I'm trying to improve my website. Try to get a mailing list because they'll go right to people's inbox.
Mhm.
Try to get people like a core audience that supports what you're doing, that finds it
Exactly.
valuable, and
Exactly.
have that they'll give you some money to help you, pay the bills, and then just forget about the algorithms and stuff. That's like a bonus. That's
Right.
the way I look at it. And
Right.
I'm trying, and part of it is doing this show and trying to promote other people as well, like Jason here.
Oh, thanks,
So
man.
we've been going for a while, and I feel like I could keep going on, but maybe we should consider wrapping up because it's getting late.
Yeah, but this is great, man. It's been a really stimulating conversation. Like I love getting a chance to chat with you about God knows what and everything. It's cool, man. I appreciate you having me on
Yeah, I
again.
think we should just make you like a rotating
There you
co-host.
go.
Just do
I'll
it.
come back
Just
on.
have you come in.
Yeah, I do.
So
I'm releasing so much music this year. Like I'm happy to.
yeah,
If you want me to come back, I'll promote away.
before we go, you should promote your stuff a bit here. Let me see.
Yeah,
I got
thank you for bringing it up, man.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I got a bunch of brand new singles this year. I've released 3 so far, and I have about 3 more projects to go that are still being released. A couple of videos actually that are going to be on live performance, but also like actually animated videos that I've had done that are coming up with new things. But yeah, best place, all the streaming services, all the new tracks that have come out this year. I'm super proud of them. They're really they have a lot of production, like behind the scenes work. It's some of the best music I feel like I've created. And it's oddly enough, right? Although like we talk about doing a lot of things ourselves with the use of AI, I've gone in the other way, and I've kind of like really put my money where my mouth is these past couple years in terms of creating stuff. And I've gotten people, with me, the people I trust, to do production and to play on the records and all that stuff. And I think I'm creating some really great music. And it's hard for me to toot my own horn. I'm not like a very, boastful, or at least I like to think I'm not, not too braggadocious, but I'm very, very happy with the way some of this stuff is sounding. So
I'm excited. I gotta check out. I've heard I heard the one new song you released a little while ago. And you did some originals at Broken Goblet on Friday, which
we did about half and half.
Half, yeah. It was great. And on screen, if you're watching us on YouTube, is the jasonager.com is where you can find more about, and all the links to everything. All your social media links are there at the bottom.
Yep, all the streaming services where you can find us, and that stuff is all down there too.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So you got new music. Is it all out, or some of it coming out still?
No, so like I said, I'm again to try to engage with the algorithm.
Yeah.
Some of the people who I kind of follow and talk to, some artist friends, they suggested releasing things on a 6-week clip, right?
Like releasing TV shows weekly.
I've been trying to do that every 6 weeks. I've been trying to put something out. So I just put something out on May the 3rd. The next thing will be out on June the 12th. I have one the end of July.
It's true. It's true. You got to do that. I got to get better at that for the podcast and put out shorts and stuff, because here's the thing. I can see it in the data. You release something, you get a little spike, and then it goes to like 0. Well, if you're small. And then you release another thing, and it goes up a little bit. So if you release stuff on a cadence, I at least try to make sure this podcast always comes out on the same day.
Yeah.
And that helps to be consistent. But yeah, having constant stuff in the pipeline, because again, the algorithm is brutal. Like I'll watch one of these videos, even like one that's somewhat successful for us, and it'll like promote it, it'll go up, and it'll kind of stop, and then that'll be it. It'll be just dead. It'll just die. Like you don't know why. And or I'll put out a short, and the short will get like a big spike, and then it'll just die. And you're like, you could just see the algorithm like put it in front of a bunch of people, and then it didn't do well enough or something for it, and then it just stopped promoting it. And it's it's
wow. I see this. I see a similar trend, Steve, with like Spotify. You know what I mean? Like with Apple and Amazon, there's no way to really, at least my knowledge, there's no way to really track those like streaming.
I know there's for the podcast. I don't know about the music.
Oh, really? I should dig deeper with that. I've never really got too into those streaming services.
Apple's back end is terrible.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they do have back ends. I've never looked at the music one, but there is like a Connect back end usually for things. I think there probably is one for music, but like there's one for podcasts where you can get some stats.
So like with the Spotify one, for example, like I will see the same kind of thing when you release something. There's definitely like a bump. And just trying to have more of a presence on there this year. That's kind of the way I set it up. So I got a bunch of different things come out this year. I'm even trying to do a little bit on, like I said, on YouTube. I got some videos coming out, and it's just been
hard. This comes out on Spotify as a video too.
Oh, cool.
And
I did not know that. I know I see it on YouTube. Obviously, that's this place I check you guys out on YouTube usually.
Currently, because I go through, it used to be called Anchor. Now they changed it to just podcast to Spotify. Like that's the host. I don't know if it really doesn't seem to get a lot of traction on Spotify, so I don't know if it matters, but like it just by default goes as a video because I upload the video then it extracts the audio for everything. But for Spotify, they'll keep the video. And I don't know, you can do video on more than just YouTube, but it seems like whatever your network is you're you're biggest on. You focus on that one. And
Yes.
I'm an Apple Music guy. I like Apple Music. I like their interface
Mhm.
better and everything as a consumer of music. But Spotify is clearly the bigger one, and it's a lot easier to
Music, yeah.
I think. I mean, it's not easy, but it's easier to try to build an audience there. Like there's
Yeah.
tools there that you don't have on Apple Music at all. It seems like
Yeah.
being able to create custom playlists is one of those things. I feel like why can't you? Why can't you
Might
just
do
do
that.
public playlists? I don't think you can do a public playlist on Apple, at least not in the same way. It's like
Yeah,
you can on
not as far as I
Spotify.
know. Yeah.
Can you do collab playlists? Can't you do like collaborative playlists on Spotify too?
You might be able to, Steve.
I don't know.
I've never done it that way, but
But
yeah,
you know, like
you
on
can in theory.
like on Facebook, you can have collaborative like events, and on
Mhm.
YouTube, I mean, I don't know, YouTube people will share videos. They'll like post a video in the same places, or
Right. Right.
with or you could stream. If you do like a live stream, you can stream to multiple channels, multiple places. So like on like we're using StreamYard to record this, and one of the features that's pretty cool is if you're doing a live stream, if you wanted to put this if we wanted to record this live and broadcast on YouTube while we're recording it, it could go to Jenkins Arts Garage channel, but then it could also go to Jason Ager's channel at the same time.
Oh,
So you could
wow.
hit both audiences, and it could go to like Facebook, maybe your audience on Facebook and Instagram. Like you can go to all these channels at once.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, live streaming is this whole other thing, which
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into because that's of course has its own difficulties. But live streams, I watch a lot of live stream shows. I watch like podcasts that are recorded live.
That's wild.
And
Yeah.
I watch them live, or I watch the replay right afterwards.
Yeah.
And again, the authenticity, because it's like I don't care about the whole super polished podcast thing for
Right.
the most of the time. And I just want to watch them while they're doing it. It's like more entertaining.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so and you can engage with it. You can ask questions, and you can have the audience be involved. And so that's like another angle, which of course is time consuming because because it's live.
Sure.
But I've seen people seem to get success with that, because
Mm.
if you have any kind of audience, if you can get some of them to tune into you live, or what we've done is a premiere on YouTube. So you pre-record it and then have a premiere, and then you can be in the chat if people show up. I've seen
Right.
podcasts do that successfully, where the episode will
Sure.
premiere on YouTube, and then they'll be in the chat while it's answering questions, whatever, while it's
You should
Well,
try
go.
that live streaming sometime. I think that'd be a really cool.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get. I have to do it myself though, alone. I have to figure out
Right.
something because Chrissy's not available for that.
Mm.
But yeah, I was thinking of trying to think of a show to do regularly if I could figure out a time slot.
Right.
And I don't know what it would be, but I'm thinking of something. If you have any ideas, what would you like to see as a show? But I was thinking of something more. I could do something
should
more
know.
tech based. What?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's your world, man. Yeah. You'd be great in that.
There's
Talking about
like
that
there's
stuff.
like a whole cadre of programmer YouTubers, which I didn't know until like relatively recently, and
Interesting.
you
No,
know,
I
and
didn't know.
a lot of them are on Twitch, and then they put their videos, edited versions of their Twitch streams, I think, on YouTube,
Interesting.
and that's cool and all. It looks like a lot of work though, because they're constantly churning the content out. But
Right. Yeah.
but I don't know. I mean, I could do. There's also like I watch BookTube, the book reviewer people.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I could do like we could do like do a book club or something. That could be
There you
something to
go.
try to do. The problem is I got no live streaming audience. How do you build up the audience? Dude, it's like I got to do something where I could just have zero audience for a while
Well,
while
I
I
mean,
figure it out.
I think it's just a matter of starting and getting the ball.
Yeah,
rolling.
yeah, yeah.
Do
But
some of
live
that.
stream, live stream's fun. I mean, we record this as if it's a live stream,
Right. Right.
you know,
Right.
and basically don't edit it except for like the clip, the beginning of it where you start recording, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I don't bother doing anything else. So
Well, it feels real, man. And I love the conversations. Anytime,
Yeah.
man. I'd love to come back.
great. So let me just go through the obligatory shout outs to
Nice.
to myself here. So if you're interested in what we're doing here, if you like this episode, for instance, make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe, ring the bell, like it, share it. These things help the algorithm notice our existence. You can also find the Chicken Arts Garage on YouTube. YouTube on Instagram and on Facebook at Jenkins Arts Garage. You can go to jagcast.show to find the audio backlog currently, and jenkinsartsgarage.com to find all the recent episodes and videos. If you want to contribute monetarily, you can go to jenkinsartsgarage.com/coffee and buy us a coffee. And look at this site. I still got to work on this site, upgrade it some more, but it's still nice. You can subscribe to the mailing list right there on the front page, and it's opt in. And right now, I'm sending out an email whenever there's a new podcast, but I'm thinking of creating a mailing list that's either weekly or once in a while. That's like maybe that just collects everything. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think about how to do it, because right now I just basically email the new episode alerts, but I might want to do something a little more than that. But so sign up, and you can find out.
Sign up.
I run this myself too to save money. I put it on I made up a server and everything.
Wow, you're doing well, man. I'm always glad to come in and hang out with you.
Yeah. So it's been a really great conversation. Make sure you check out JasonAger.com and check out his music wherever you get your music from, and go out and see him in person. He's a great guy to talk to, and his music is awesome and fun. And we couldn't play any of it because I don't know if it'll get copyright strikes or something. Who knows?
You can find me out there. It's easy enough.
Yeah, it's easy to find them. You never know. It's like not because you would do anything, because depending on how you published it, the publisher system might have put it on like the list that's happened to us before, where like the artist was like, "Oh yeah, we could play this. We fine." And we just get like one copyrighted thing after another on the episode, and it's like,
oh yikes.
No strikes, but it was like everything got like copyright hit, which makes it impossible then for the algorithm to push it.
Sure.
So that's it. So I guess it's been really fun. I hope I'll have you back soon.
Yeah, man.
Maybe it's just my like special, as I said, my special rotating guest host when Chrissy's not available. And so stay on the line. I'm gonna play the outro, which I am very proud of. It's a very cheesy video, which you've probably seen if you watched the episode lately. But it's E.Joseph and the Sparrows. You've met Ed, right?
I think
Ed
so,
Meenan, right? E.Joseph and the Sparrow. So this is our podcast song from the beginning, and so thanks a lot. I'll see you all next time, probably with Chrissy on the next episode.
Awesome.
So until then,
see y'all.
See ya.
We're learning to break the ice together. Oh, oh. We're learning to break